I'd like to just take 2 or 3 minutes and address something that's been presented to me by many organizations within the libertarian movement and very closely associated movement. And the idea is, and this is very different from what Carla was saying earlier, the idea is that we should run as almost exclusively an economic platform and de-emphasize or ignore the social aspects of our platform. And I want to briefly explain why I disagree with that. I believe that the second half of that sentence is that we should avoid talking about social issues so that we don't have to confront people on areas where they are either bigoted or uninformed. I think it's a way to say that let's not talk about marriage so that we don't have to confront people on their homophobia. Or let's not talk about immigration so that we don't have to confront people on their xenophobia. And with apologies to Mike, we should not talk about our foreign policy so we don't have to confront people on their Islamophobia. And I strongly and absolutely reject that. Because I believe that when you do that, you are essentially a hair's breadth away from doing what candidates like Rick Santorum, for example, have done so effectively, which is convince people that by engaging in something that's fairly simple, that they are exceptional. I think Rick Santorum has essentially spread the message that says, if you are fluent in English and you are a Christian, you are part of American exceptionalism. And I don't hold to that for a second. I think the word exceptionalism has been tossed around in politics in a way that does not hold with any dictionary or any reasonable definition of what the word exceptional means. When I think of American exceptionalism, I don't think of English fluency. I think of the people who started Intel. I think of Bill Gates. I think of people who, if we had better immigration policies, would have started their businesses here. The founder of IKEA. One of the failures, I believe, of our immigration policy is that we did not get him here before he founded IKEA. So when we approach it from a purely economic standpoint, I believe we end up taking like the heart and the meaning out of the ideas of liberty. I mean, when Socrates was put to death, the issue at stake was not that the government had to pay for some hemlock, although they did. And when Copernicus or Galileo were put under house arrest for telling the truth, I don't think the issue was that they had to pay, one police officer to stand outside of their house. I think the issue is something far more fundamental. I believe that the heart of liberty is the social policies, the ideas of free speech, the idea that we can do what we want as long as we're not hurting anybody else. Sometimes people say that morality has no place in politics. That is, I believe, absolutely wrong. The entire libertarian philosophy is a moral philosophy. It's a philosophy that says, I will not initiate force upon another person. And I think that is an absolute essential idea for us. One of my friends showed me a list that had been circulating around Facebook and the internet, and it was a voting list of what people considered to be the most immoral actions. And at the top of that were prostitution and polygamy. And somewhere lower down was rape and murder. What that tells me is that people in this country have confused personal taste with morality. Morality is a philosophy. It's not just like what you happen to like. It's something with a coherence and meaning behind it. When we substitute just personal taste, if we find homosexual activity off-putting, and if we substitute personal taste for actual legitimate moral philosophy, that is a type of ignorance that is no different than the type of ignorance that many people have had with regard to, for example, the Federal Reserve, that Ron Paul has been so effective in combating. The other issue is when we replace morality with personal taste, we end up making economic mistakes that are based on that personal taste. For example, when we talk about welfare, there's a lot of people who dislike welfare. I am certainly one of the people. Not because I think that we shouldn't help the poor, I just think that this particular system has not been very effective at doing it. I think that welfare is a skill that requires much more innovation and creativity than what has been done so far by the government. But when you look at welfare, which is about $30-some billion a year, but ignore other types of welfare that are significantly larger, it's like you're allowing that taste to get in the way of actual logic. I actually recently wrote a book called Lies, damn lies and college admissions. I put a couple free copies back there. And one of the things that it's important to know is that colleges get about twice as much welfare as individuals. And it's come to the point that if you're at a private college, due to these government subsidies that essentially reward colleges for charging more, if you're at a private colleges and you're sitting in a lecture, you are paying $100 an hour to sit in that lecture. Now that's not what the professor's making. That means per student, the university is getting $100 an hour. If there's 200 kids in the class, the university is getting $20,000 an hour. That is not a free market price, and that's a reflection, I believe, of that taste. We all like colleges masquerading as morality, as in we should therefore subsidize colleges. The other area where that is also reflected is in healthcare. We think that healthcare is good. I certainly think that healthcare is good. But the extension that because it's good, because we like it, we should therefore subsidize it is as ridiculous as saying that it's moral to take money from one person and give it to this other person so that he can go to university and study moral philosophy. It's absolutely, completely backwards. So, it's, in a sense, what I think that, and what I intend to do with my campaign, is to combine both the social and the economic standpoints. Certainly welcome any questions on those areas. You'll find me as a candidate that I'm aggressive, that I really work to build a large base on our Facebook page. We have approximately 30,000 fans. Most of those are not people that were libertarian. Most of those are converts that were either formerly Democrats or formerly Republicans that looked at our message and really responded to it. During the last campaign, which is a statewide campaign, I also did a certain amount of outreach through internet radio. I was on a TV show that is actually in the South Asian community, probably the most popular TV show in the county. Many people who didn't even know I was running actually saw me for the first time on that particular show. Any support that I get is something that I'm going to be using to build a long-term campaign. Corporations know that elections are multi-election cycles, and that is exactly how I view them. So at this point, I welcome any questions about any of my views or anything else.
I'd just like to make a comment regarding your use of words, because you're obviously articulate and well-spoken, and I think you'll make a fine candidate. But I really think you'll present yourself more effectively if you don't talk about morality, all questions of morality, as if they're questions merely of taste. I think there are issues of morality beyond the non-aggression principle. The important thing for us as libertarians is that when it comes to politics, the non-aggression principle is the only relevant moral question. But if some people think that prostitution or polygyny is immoral, I wouldn't define them out of the ballpark. I would say that's a legitimate moral question to be discussed. It just has nothing to do with our political position, which is solely determined by the non-aggression.
And I think you're absolutely right on that. And I think that there's a difference between a considered moral opinion, if it's either based on sort of an academic type philosophy that after careful consideration has come up with saying that prostitution is morally wrong, and I have no problem with that. In fact, I actually, although I disagree with Rick Santorum on almost everything, I do believe that he has considered the different viewpoints. What I dislike seeing is where there's issues that are passed off as issues of morality that are clearly issues of just like bad science. I mean, the idea that drunkenness is okay, but marijuana requires that people be locked up, to me is an incoherent position. I can see that something could morally be opposed to both, but the moral opposition to one and not the other, to me, is an uneducated standpoint.